Antlers, assumptions, and artillery. What the? Bjorn asks as he finds Admiral Crosswind marching with a furious expression on her face towards the hollow chamber he was planning on using, one that seems to be occupied. "Veers with me," she orders, and he dashes up a bit to arrive at the door when she does. Command override forces it open, and the scene inside is of Mangowa and Ashina beating the ever-loving hell out of each other. Separate them. Bjorn moves, and in a second, both women are in a headlock and facing the opposite direction with his massive frame between them. "I'm going to need cuffs, duct tape, or a buddy to do better than this, ma'am." "You've done enough," Admiral Crosswind says as she starts pacing around the two-pinned dinos. Mangowa is merely breathing heavily. Ashina is outright struggling and fighting. In vain, however, Bjorn's grip makes steel seem lacking by compare. "So are things going to be explained to me? Or am I putting one of you through a court-martial and the other in front of a juvenile court judge?" "We're just sorting out some issues, ma'am," Mangowa says after a moment. "And were those issues a disturbing lack of broken bones and lacerations? Because if you really want that to be solved, I can arrange its correction. I could even give you the choice of myself or Sergeant Veers here." Admiral Crosswind offers, and the involuntary squeak of fear from Ashina brings the Admiral's attention to her. "Which brings me to you. This was not a one-sided beating. This was a proper fight." Crosswind's prowling passes in front of Mangowa, and she notes the injuries the mother has, before circling around to re-examine Ashina. "You got your licks in, little lady, and it seems your mother was doing little more than occasionally striking back. I need an explanation here. What the hell is going on? She locked me away from the world and kept me ignorant of everything," Ashina protests. She tries to squirm, but she's lacking the 150 pounds of pure muscle needed to so much as get Bjorn's polite acknowledgement. "I thought the biography of Kalissa the Cruel was some kind of mockumentary, a fake biography for entertainment. Not that the flaming bitch's skull was on the damn mantle." "So you're what happened to that up-and-coming war lady who disappeared?" Admiral Crosswind asked Mangowa. "Not just me, but I had first pick of spoils and I wanted her head," Mangowa admits in Bjorn's sigh. "Because why not have proof for the pissed-off followers to conclusively pin things on you when you're already in hiding? I'd have stuffed that thing with meat and fed it to the tundra worms years ago," Bjorn notes. "Thank you, Sergeant. Any other pieces of advice?" Admiral Crosswind asks, and he constiers. "If we cork the stingers and put some padding on the claws, we can let them go at it again and get it out of their systems without killing each other. We have the safeties of the hollow chamber on. We're upset, not stupid," Mangowa states. "Was that you and your daughter, or the royal we?" Bjorn pokes and Ashina thrashes a bit. "Not now, human. My daughter and I have some blood festering between us, and it needs to be cleared away." "You two are still marking each other. That's taking things too far," Admiral Crosswind states. "Ashina is practicing with using axiom enhancement to fight. Her own markings are when I let her know it was too hard." Mangowa states stubbornly, and Admiral Crosswind sighs. "You know what? I'm cutting out the nonsense here and now. Your back is up. I order you to take a break and leave this room. Sergeant Veers, this room is going to be made into an obstacle course. You are to run the daughter through it until she's too tired to be upset," Admiral Crosswind says, and Bjorn nods as he lets go of Mangowa and begins walking towards the control panel on the inside of the chamber. With his free arm, he taps in the new settings, and the padded fighting ring is replaced with a large circular course that has numerous obstacles to be navigated. He lets go of Ashina, who starts to rush to her mother, but he grabs her by the tail and begins slowly walking the course. "This is going to be a lot easier on you if you're not being dragged." Before Ashina can answer, Admiral Crosswind and puts a hand on Mangowa's shoulder and twists the axiom like it owes her money. They're teleported directly out of the chamber, and she turns to the woman she just recruited even as she turns on the privacy setting to hide the distraction. "Well?" Crosswind demands. "I screwed up and now am paying for it." "Clearly. Details now." Admiral Crosswind orders. "I spoiled her." "I'm aware. And she blames me." "Fairly." Admiral Crosswind is not letting Mangowa hold any delusion as to who is responsible in this situation, which is why we need to vent. Yesterday, she slumped into depression, and now she's upset that it happened to begin with. So she's manic, going between depressive and agitated episodes. Admiral Crosswind states, "She's in turmoil and looking for someone to blame, and she can only see me." Blame for? For the fact that everything she knew was swept away. We do have enemies. I still find them. I have some bugs and contacts that tell me that there are more than a few arcologies where we're both kill on sight. If I had ever let her know that, then what do you think a little girl from a family known for rebellion and passion would do? Like all children, when told the power coil is hot, she would at least poke it, if not see if she can't get someone else to. Admiral Crosswind says, not admitting to the fact that she was the kind of little girl that had stuck things in power sockets just to see what would happen. It had earned her a healing coma at the ripe old age of 5, and my whole family is the type to see for ourselves. Pure nature that, Mangowa says with a sigh. So I was lost, alone, but sitting on a fortune that I both respected and despised, with an egg who had reacted badly to stasis and wasn't going to go back into stasis and survive. So I had to be a mother when I had lost mine, and my sisters and brother and aunts and cousins and few uncles. All of it gone. And you held onto your child as tightly as you could and used that fortune to keep her happy and safe, Admiral Crosswind says. And now I pay the price for that. You must always pay for everything in its way. You can pay another to forestall it, but not pay it off entirely. If you want a relationship with your daughter, you have to be a mother and not a walking pile of credits. Admiral Crosswind says, "Are you a mother?" "Yes, but my children have long grown up and left the nest. Believe me when I say as a working mother that there is few things worse you can do than trying to replace yourself with things." Admiral Crosswind says as she turns off the privacy settings. Ashina is gripping the points of a climbing wall with her pincers, and the area next to her has numerous climbing points torn out and outright finger holes embedded into it. The guilty party of Bjorn is leaning over the top and encouraging her to keep climbing as the girl tries to keep herself from laughing. Mangowa just stares for a moment before chuckling. "The thing to remember about fights is to get it all out," Admiral Crosswind says before turning back on the privacy filter. "So long as you both remember who and what you are to each other, you'll find a way out of it, although it may take a while." "Really?" "Trust me, you want it out. The last thing you want is for your last words to be said in rage." "Your child?" "My mother," Admiral Crosswind says. "It's why I promised myself that no matter what, my last words to my children would be, 'I love you.'" "It's not easy," Mangowa says after a few moments of uncomfortable silence. "If it was, then the galaxy would be in much better shape with far better adjusted women running it," Admiral Crosswind says, and Mangowa turns the privacy screen off again, and they see Bjorn picking Ashina up and helping her grip the handhold she had lost her hold of in the middle of a zip line. She makes it maybe 5 meters before her grip slips and she falls into the padding, prompting the massive Bjorn to pick her up again and help her once more while carefully and clearly schooling his face to not laugh. This time she makes it to the end and staggers a bit. She then turns and challenges him, and he nods before heading to the start, pressing a button to recall the grip and then grabbing it with only a single hand. He then hangs on it upside down and uses only 2 fingers to actually hang on. The stop of the zip line prompts a flip from him and he lands on his feet. There is no sound from the side of the screen to the inside of the hollow chamber, but it's clear she's demanding to know just how the hell he did that. Admiral Crosswind turns the privacy screen back on as Bjorn gestures for her to follow, and he rushes ahead and she follows without hesitation. Mangowa just stares at her reflection in the now opaque viewing window and thinks, "There is no clear answer, Specialist Bright Eyes. Every child is different, and the first one is always the hardest. First, as if I'm ever going to be a mother again," Mangowa mutters. "What happened to her father?" Admiral Crosswind asked. Mangowa begins before looking away. "I went too far." "Doing what when I see go power?" Admiral Crosswind asks. "Indulging. Drugs, fun, excitement. And I woke up in an alleyway wearing clothing not my own with a badly faked ID in my pocket. No credits and a craving for a man I could not remember. A craving that lasted and lasted and lasted as my pregnancy became clear and I laid a single egg, viable egg, and 6 that had already failed. Then as the urges faded, I placed that egg in stasis until I was ready. Do you even know what species the father was? An insect or arachnid, I think. Ashina has a slightly harder but more rigid carapace than mine around the extremities. That's all. It would stand out more if I was one of the spider races and had more armor on me, Mangowa says. Then she turns off the privacy and just watches as Bjorn has her moving, and Ashina is beaming as she masters the obstacle course. She needed more than my absent tail in her life. One absent parent is just not enough, no matter how much money they have. It's a full-time job, Admiral Crosswind says, as they watch Ashina navigate a pair of ropes. Her feet are braced against one rope and the other is used to slip to the side. Despite current appearances, we're not a babysitting organization. But these men are eager to be fathers and brothers and uncles. Side effect of the training. What they went through taught them to rely on each other. Even those who wish only to follow know when and how to show the way. It's instinct, it's basic. The idea of being a father to her isn't even crossing his mind. He's showing her how to move and act. It's not personal, it's basic. It's also what she basically needs. Mangowa says and sighs. It's not weakness to admit you can't do something. Admiral Crosswind says, I was never supposed to, or intended to, but had to, Mangowa says as the climbing wall that rises up above Bjorn and Ashina now has clearly reinforced climbing points on Bjorn's half. Ashina is clearly mocking the large man who sticks out his tongue in response. She then taps out a few commands on her side of the course, and it widens to allow a third person. One on the opposite side of Ashina. Admiral Crosswind smiles as Mangowa enters the holochamber and rushes to catch up to Bjorn and Ashina. I know I'm going to have to do this again, but hopefully it won't be so dramatic or quite so often,